शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानामेकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्री हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। हयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। वेट्रिवेल् मुरुगनुक्कु हर हरोहरा। लोकवीर्यं महापूज्यं सर्वरक्षाकरं विभुं पार्वतीहृदयानन्दं शास्तारं प्रणमाम्यहं। स्वामिये शरणमय्यप्पा। वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषनभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഇതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ട തോറു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കുന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning everyone. Okay, so let's do a quick review of 96. Jayashree, can you do one half and see here? And Vanigaru, you can do the other half.
Can I?
like student practice actually.
Yeah. No.
Kama rumba jasti, but I'll definitely try. Can I do it?
Yeah, sure, Shobha. You and Srivani can do half. Yeah.
Can I also do it next time?
Next is no next class, but that's fine.
Rajesh, I will try all the whole thing, but don't
Okay.
mistake me. Nariya commas irukku, I'm going to try. Is it
Sure,
okay?
sure, no problem. Okay, go ahead, Shobha.
Thank you. Sri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Dasakam 96, Bhagavat Vibhuti Varnanam. Twammi Brahmaiva Sakshat Paramuri Mahiman Aksharanam Akarah Taro Mandreshu Rajyam Manurasi Munishu Tvam Bhrugur Narato Bihi Prahlado Danavanam Pashushu Surabhihi Pakshinam Vainateo Naga Namasya Nantah Surasarita Bicha Srodasam Vishwamurte Brahmanam Balistvam Rudushu Japa Yajnosi Vireshu Partado Bhaktanam Uttavastvam Balamasi Balinam Tama Tejasvinam Tvam Nastyandasvat Vibhudehe Vikasata Dishayam Vastu Sarvam Tvameva Tvam Jivastvam Pradhanam Yadiha Bhavatrute Tanna Kinjit Prabanje.
The first line, first word mattum Brahmanyanam. First line, first word mattum. You said something different, but yeah, Brahmanyanam.
Brahmanyanam Balistvam. Dharmam Varnashramanam Shrutipada Vihitam Vatparatvena Bhaktya Kurvanton Darvirage Vigasati Shanakai Santya Janto Vilabante Sadda Spurti Priyat Swatmakam Agala Padarteshu Binneshva Binnam Nirmulam Vishwamulam Paramamahamiti Vadvibhodam Vishuddham Jnanam Karma Vibhakti Stridayamiha Bhavat Prabhakam Tatra Tavat Nirvinnanam Asesha Vishayaiva Bhavat Jnana Nirvannanam Asesha Vishayaiya Bhavet Jnana Yoga Adhikarah Saktanam Karma Yogah Vai Vinihito Yedu Natyanta Saktah Napyantam Viraktah Vaicha Dhrudarasha Bhakti Yogo Hyamisham Jnanam Tvat Bhaktadam Va Lagusukruta Vashat Martya Loge Labante Tasma Tatraiva Janma Spruhyadi Bhagavan Nagako Narako Va Abhishtamam Tu Daivat Bhavajalanidhi Podai Martya De Tvam Krutva Karnadaram Guru Manuguna Vadaidas Tarayetah Avyaktam Margayantah Srutipirabi Nahi Kevalajnana Luptah Klishyante Diva Siddhim Bahutara Janusham Anda Evapnuvanti Durasta Karma Yogo Vicha Paramabale Nanvayam Bhakti Yoga Tvamula Deva Hridyah Tvaritamabi Bhavat Prabhako Vartatame Jnanaye Vadiyantam Munira Pavatade Brahma Tattvam Tu Srinvan Gadam Tvat Pada Bhaktim Sharanamayati Yas Tasya Mukti Karagre Tvadyane Bihatulya Punarasugarata Chitta Chanchalya Chitta Chanchalya Hetoho Abhyasadashu Sakyam Tadabi Vashayitum Tvatkrupa Charudabhyam.
The first line, Matra Shobha, can you say it? First line, Jnana Yaivati Yatnam Muni
Jnanaye Vadiyatnam Munira Pavadate Brahma
Munirapa Vadate.
Munirapa Munira Chalmurkaguda
Munirapa Vadate.
Oh, okay. Nan break that's different up.
Yeah, because if you're breaking it, it becomes Munir Apavadate. It becomes two different words. And just say it together, Munirapa Vadate.
Munirapa Vadate. Okay.
Yeah.
Jnanaye Vadiyantnam Munirapa Vadate.
Yeah.
Brahma Tattvam. Yeah.
Keep going. Say it again.
Brahma Tattvam Tu Srinvan.
I think we can go to the next one. So, yeah.
Tvadvatyane Bihatulya Punarasugarata चित्तचाञ्चल्य हेतोः अभ्यासादाशशक्यं तदपि वशयितुं त्वत्कृपाचारुताभ्यां निर्विण्ण कर्म मार्गे खलु विषमतमे त्वत्कदादौ च गाढं जातश्रद्धोऽपि कामान् अयि भुवनपते नैव शक्नोमि हातुं तद्भूयो निश्चयेन त्वयि नियतमना दोषबुद्ध्या भजंस्तान् पुष्णीयां भक्तिमेव त्वयि हृदय गदे मंक्षु नङ्क्षन्ति शङ्काः कश्चित् क्लेशार्जितार्थ क्षय विमलमतिः नुन्यमानो जनौकैः प्राकेवं प्राविभ्रो न खलु मम जनः कालकर्मग्रहा वा चेदो मे दुःख हेतुः तदिक गुणगणं भावयत् सर्वकारीति उद्वा शान्तो कदस्त्वां मम च गुरुविभो तादृशीं चित्तशान्तिम्.
And the third line, right? Sarvakari, I mean, if you have Sarvakariti Uktva, it's two different words like it is, but at the join in Agumbodh, it becomes Sarvakarit Yuktva, it and then Yuktva when it joins.
Oh, I just separated them. Sarvakarit Yuktva, Charit Yuktva.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
Jala Pragurvashim Pratyadi Vivashamanaha Sevamana Shriyam Tam Gadam Nirbitya Bhuyo Yuvati Sukhamidam Shutramevedhi Gayan Twadbhaktyam Prapya Purnaha Sukadaramacharyan Tatva Duttudad Shankam Bhaktotam Samkriyamam Pavana Purapate Antame Runti Rogan Sri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha.
Very good. Okay, we'll start 99. So this is Bhagavan Mahimanu Varnanam. So again, it's like we saw the glory of the Lord in 96. This is a praising the glory of the Lord. And this one, pretty much every stanza is from the Rig Veda. So I think in your book, sometimes they might have referencing which stanza of Rig Veda or which chapter of Rig Veda it is, right? So that's what everything is. But it's at the end of the day, it's all the praise of the Lord. That's what this is. Okay, so first up, Sindhuji, you can be a student, and Anu, you can be a student. Yeah, stanza 1. विष्णोर्वीर्यानि को वा कथयतु धरणेः कश्चरेणुन्मिमीते यस्यैवाङ्घ्रित्रयेण त्रिजगदभिमितं मोदते पूर्णसम्पत् योऽसौ विश्वानि धत्ते प्रियमिह परमं धाम तस्याभियायां त्वद्भक्ता यत्र माध्यन्त्यमृतरसमरन्दस्य यत्र प्रवाहः. So starts off by saying, that who can count? There's no way you can count the glories of the Lord, right? Kova Katayati, you can't start describing it. And the example, and I was just telling earlier, I'm sitting here in Punta Cana at the beach. So he's referring that, saying that just like when you go into a beach, you can't count the number of sand particles which are there. You cannot count, right? So similarly, he says you can't count the glories of the Lord. It's just, uncountable, right? You can just take a small and then maybe count and say, these are the things we know. But he says it cannot count any of the activities of the Lord. And then he says all the things which are there, right, is part. And that's why, so interestingly, one person was just asking me this week saying, I'm buying a house, which direction should the house face, right? With the Vastu Shastra and all, I'm not condemning any of that, right? But I'm just saying it doesn't matter, right? Because in even Vishnu Sahasranam, it says, Dhyausa Chandrarka Nakshatra Kham Disho Bhur Mahodadihi. All the directions are part of you. Right? All the sun is part of you, moon is part of you, all the stars are part of you, all the directions are part of you. Like we saw earlier, there's nothing like you are better or somebody is worse. Everything is equal, right? If you believe in God, everything is equal. So that's what it says. Your glory is so much that you are there in every particular thing. And then, Yesse Vangri Thayena, in whose 3 feet you measured the whole world, right? So the idea here is to say that it is not that because he's there in Guruvayur, only the people of Guruvayur are blessed. It's not. The entire 14 worlds, everybody is blessed if you want to be blessed, right? Because at the end of the day, the God is for everybody. It's a common God who's there, because even in your 3 feet, in the Vamanavataram, you measured all the 14 worlds. You didn't measure just one part of Tamil Nadu or one part of Kerala, right? You measured the whole world by that. And then it's kind of goes and says, and then also in terms of avataram, like I said, it's not just, we always say the top 9 or top 10 avatarams, but even in Narayaneeyam we saw how there was Kapila avataram was there, Rishabh avataram was there, Dhanvantri was there, Mohini, multiple avatarams, right? It is just that we only count certain number, but you have taken multiple avatarams and you helped everybody there, and all of these things, and then he says the prayer here is, may attain your abode, which is Vaikuntham, which is beyond all of these that we've already seen, and the place where it doesn't get bored. See, sometimes you visit a place a few times, you then start getting bored of that place. He says, this abode of yours, I'm not going to get bored, because the people who are there are constantly happy. They're always happy, and that is only if you only be constantly going to be praying to you, then that is a place that I also want to be. So that is a prayer here. But again, all of this, every stanza of this is taken from the Rig Veda, which is comparing the Supreme Lord to all the things on the earth or in the world. So Vishnur Viryani Kova Kathayatu, Dharanehe, put ich, Dharaneh Kascha Renun Mimite, Yasyai Vangri Trayena Trijagad Abhimitam, that's it, Trijagad Abhimitam, Modate Purna Sampat. Vishnur Vidhyani Kova Kathayato Dharaneh Kascharenoon Mimite Yasyai Vangritrayena Trijagad Abhimitam Modate Purna Sampat.
Vishnur Viryani Kova Kathayadu Dharaneh Kascharenoon Mimite Yasyai Vangritrayena Trijagadabhimidam modade purna sambad.
The second line, the comma is after Trijagadabhimidam. That's a pause.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Vishnor Viryani Gova Kadayadu Dharane Kascharenoon Mimide Yasye Vankritrayena Trijagadabhimidam modade purna sambad.
Rajesh. Sorry, ஒரே ஒரு request, அந்த த்ரிஜகத அது மட்டும் சொல்லுங்களேன்.
See, that is three jagat abhimitam are the 3 words there. Okay. But on the it and the a would have become a da in a lot of books, right? Three jagat abhimitam. You can just say it together also if you want, or if you're not able to say it together, you break it as three jagat abhimitam.
Midam adu.
Abhimitam. Yeah, me.
Okay, matam irukku Tamilla. Okay. Okay. Noted, thanks.
Vishnur Viryani Kova Katayatu Dharaneh Kascharenoon Mimite Yasyai Vangritrayena Trijagadabhimitam Modate Purna Sampat. Vishnur Viryani Kova Katayatu Dharaneh Kascharenoon Mimite Yasyai Vangritrayena Trijagadabhimitam Modate Purna Sampat.
Yosau Vishwani Dhatte, Priyamiha Paramam Dhama Tasyabhiyayam, Tvat Bhakta Yatra Madhyanti Amrita. So it's Madhyanti Amrita, but that becomes one word. Madhyanti Amrita Rasa Marandasya Yatra Pravahaha. So that line is together. So it's saying that's a place, Vaikuntham, where there's a continuous stream of Amritam, continuous stream of nectar, which is flowing there because of the happiness of which it's kind of referring to the happiness, right? Continuous stream of nectar is referring to the happiness that is there because of Tvat Bhakta, because of devotion to you. So that last line, there is no pause. Yosau Vishwani Dhatte Priyamiha Paramam Dhama Tasyabhiyayam Tvat Bhakta Yatra Madhyanti Amrita Rasamarandasya Yatra Pravahaha.
Yosau Vishwani Dhatte Priyamiha Paramam Dhama Tasyabhiyayam Todbhakta Yatra Madhyandamrudara Samarandasya Yatra Pravahaha.
That fourth line there, the Madhyantyamrita, ya.
Okay, ya. Madhyantyamrita. Yeah, I probably said Madhyanda, right?
You said Madhyant Amrita, I heard. It is kind of ya. Okay. Yamrita, because Madhyanti plus a becomes ya there.
Okay. Yosau Vishwani Dhatte Priyamiha Paramam Dhama Tasyabhiyayam Todbhakta Yatra Madhyantyamrudara रसमरन्दस्य यत्र प्रवाहः
योऽसौ विश्वानि धत्ते प्रियमिह परमं धाम तस्याभियायां त्वद्भक्ता यत्र माद्यन्त्यमृतरसमरन्दस्य यत्र प्रवाहः योऽसौ विश्वानि धत्ते प्रियमिह परमं धाम तस्याभियायां त्वद्भक्ता यत्र माद्यन्त्यमृतरसमरन्दस्य यत्र प्रवाहः.
That's it too.
Rajesh, ஒரே ஒரு question. Tad bhaktava, twad bhaktava.
Twad bhakta, your devotees. Twad. Twa. Yeah. Adhyaya sheshakartre prati nimishanavinaaya bhartre vibhutehe bhaktatma vishnave yaha pratishati habiradini yajnarchanadau कृष्णाध्यं जन्म यो वा महदिह महतो वर्णयेत् सोऽयमेव प्नीतः पूर्णो यशोभिः त्वरितमभिसरेत् प्राप्यमन्ते पदं ते. This chapter to some extent, like kind of this is the last chapter before the 100th, right? So this is like a summary of everything we have learned, right? So a lot of these things which we learned from before is going to only repeat. There's nothing new that's going to come here. So he says here, like we saw in the earlier Dasakam, like, you know, I think it was Kapilopakyanam, where it says Pitra Sura Ganayaji Dharmiko Yo Grihastaha, the Grihastha who does his duty, right? But doing duty to the Pitras, doing duty to the gods, all of the right things he's going, right? So Nipatati Khale, when the time comes, Dakshina Dopagama, he's still only going to go the southern direction because he's going to accumulate this karma, he's going to be born again to enjoy the karma. Only the person who is completely devoted to me is going to go through the northern path. That's what even Kapila Tanuraditam Devahuti and Yagadi using to Devahuti. So same thing he says here, the one for if you are to be liberated, the one who is offering all these sacrifices, everything to Vishnu, who Adhyaya, who was there even before creation happened, and who is also there during the process of creation. And even when the creation ceases to exist, this Vishnu is there. Only the person who is doing the sacrifices to this Vishnu all the time, who is Prati Nimisha Navinaya. Every minute is new. See, if you always keep looking about the same one God, you're also going to feel bored, right? Like we said, okay, just only one, you just keep meditating on that God, you may feel bored. So that's why there's various avatarams are there. One day you pray to Matsya avataram, one day you pray to Kurma avataram, every day you pray different. So you, Vishnu, who takes every minute, you take a different form, so that your devotees also get to appreciate the various avatarams of yours and various forms of yours and alankaram of yours. So you are always new. That way you are not just the same person who's every time. And this person who's either devoted or a devotee who is always talking about your incarnations of Krishna. Here Bhattacharya says Krishna. And the reason is saying it could be anybody, right? But like we said before, if you pick Rama, there's only one way you think about Rama, right? You think he's an ideal person, ideal king, ideal husband, and you always have a sense of respect towards Rama. That's how everybody looks at Rama. But like we've seen in Krishna Avataram, you can look at Krishna any way you want. You know, like even the, you know, that Krishna ni bhegane bharo in Kannada says it's like vada. That's what in Tamil's translation of this, the Krishna inga vada, it says. Like no respect, right? You're just treating Krishna as a child in that case, right? So he says with you, Krishna, the different types of relationships you can have. So that's why even Bhattacharya is saying, you know, anyone who thinks of you in any form, any way they want to be associated, they're always going to be happy. And then in the very end, will prapyamante padante. In the very end, will attain your destination, your padam, which is Vaikuntham. So he says either you offer the sacrifices to Vishnu, or you always be constantly talking about the various leela. That is the best way, right? It says. So Adhyaya Shesha Kartre, comma, Prati Nimisha Navinaya Bhartre Vibhutehe. So put a visarga there in comma, Vibhutehe. Next line, the ir goes away from the top. Bhaktatma Vishnave Yaha, comma, Pradishati Haviradhini Yajnarcha Nadhav. Adhyaya Sheshakartre Prati Nimishanavinaaya Bhatre Vibhutehe Bhaktatma Vishnave Yaha Pradishati Haviradhini Yajnarcha Nadhav.
Adhyaya Sheshagartre Pradinimishanavinaaya Bhartre Vibhudehe Bhaktatma Vishnaveyaha Pradishadi Haviradini Yajnarchanadau. Adhyaya Sheshagartre प्रतिनिमिषनवीनाय भर्त्रे विभूदेः भक्तात्मा विष्णवे यः प्रदिशति हविरादीनि यज्ञार्चनादौ
आद्यायाशेषकर्त्रे प्रतिनिमिषनवीनाय भर्त्रे विभूतेः भक्तात्मा विष्णवे यः प्रदिशति हवीरादीनि यज्ञार्चनादौ आज्ञायाशेषकर्त्रे प्रतिनिमिषनवीनाय भर्त्रे विभूतेः भक्तात्मा विष्णवे यः प्रदिशति हवीरादीनि यज्ञार्चनादौ
कृष्णाद्यं जन्म यो वा महदिह महतो वर्णयेत् सोयमेव प्रीतः put a f प्रीतः पूर्णो यशोभिः so remove that is put a visarga and comma यशोभिः त्वरितम् अभिसरेत् प्राप्यमन्ते पदन्ते प्राप्यम अन्ते can say it together प्राप्यमन्ते पदन्ते कृष्णाद्यं जन्म यो वा महदिह महतो वर्णयेत् सोयमेव प्रीतः पूर्णो यशोभिः त्वरितमभिसरेत् प्राप्यमन्ते पदं ते
कृष्णाद्यं जन्म यो वा महदिह महदो वर्णयेत् सोऽयमेव प्रीतः पूर्णो यशोभिः त्वरितमभिसरेत् प्राप्यमन्ते पदं ते कृष्णाद्यं जन्म यो वा महदिह महदो वर्णयेत् सोऽयमेव प्रीतः पूर्णो यशोभिः त्वरितमभिसरेत् प्राप्यमन्ते पदं ते
कृष्णाद्यं जन्म यो वा महदिह महतो वर्णयेत् सोऽयमेव प्रीतः पूर्णो यशोभिः त्वरितमभिसरेत् प्राप्यमन्ते पदं ते कृष्णाद्यं जन्म यो वा महदिह महतो वर्णयेत् सोऽयमेव प्रीतः पूर्णो यशोभिः त्वरितमभिसरेत् प्राप्यमन्ते पदं ते
हे स्तोतारः कवीन्द्राः तमिह खलु यथा चेतयद्मे तथैव व्यक्तं वेदस्य सारं प्रणुवत जननोपातलीला कथाभिः जानन्तश्चास्य नामान्य किल सुखकरानीति संकीर्तयध्वं हे विष्णो कीर्तनाद्यैः तव खलु महतस्तत्त्वबोधं भजेयम्. So here he calls out Stotara Kavindraha, poets or people who write literary works, but it could apply to any of us, right? He's saying use your knowledge of poetry or use your knowledge of your experience of composing things towards the Lord. Don't go and praise unnecessary kings, dictators, all these people, right? And there are a lot of examples, right, of even Tyagaraja and all these Bhagavatas, they were so poor. None of these people were rich, right? All these poets who were there, the olden days poets, none of them were rich. They were all extremely poor. It was very easy for them to go compose something for the king and then get more money. But then they all said, no, my knowledge is only going to be used towards the Lord, right? So they all composed all these poems and all these songs and everything only towards the God, even if that was not getting them any money. So he says, no matter in whichever way you want, right? You sing about the greatness of the incarnation. So whether Valmiki is composing Ramayanam or Vedavyasa is doing Mahabharata or Sukabrahma is doing Bhagavatam or Bhadrapad is doing Narayaneeyam, he says, use all your knowledge towards talking about the greatness of the Lord, who is nothing but Vyaktam Vedasya Saram. He's the essence of the Vedas. Right? Everything that is there in the Vedas, you condense it, that is all talking about this, and we're going to see more of that. It's going to come later as well. And then you talk about the various incarnations. And then he says that primarily he says Naman Yakila, the various names of yours, right? You just says chant them wholeheartedly. Don't constrain yourself, because when you think of, when you're chanting Vedas as an example, you have certain restrictions, right? You should have been a Brahmin, you should do certain things, right? You should chant it in a particular way. There is a time and place for everything. You want to do certain rituals, pujas, there are rules for observing that. But for saying the name of the Lord, there's no restriction. You can say Krishna, Krishna anytime you want. Even before you brush, you can say Krishna, Krishna, right? No matter which room of your house you are, you can say. There's no constraint. There's no restriction in saying the name of the Lord. So he says, don't constrain yourself. Say it wholeheartedly at any time you want, any way you want, right? That's what he says primarily, it says, right? And the more important thing is, even in when Hiranyakashipu is asking Prahlada at one point, he says, where are you getting the knowledge? What is the greatness, right? What knowledge have you gained? He then talks about 9 different forms of worship, right? He says one of them is Shravanam, you hear, right? You hear when somebody is saying about the greatness of the Lord, you hear. He says that is also good. Then he says you can chant the names of the Lord, right? You can say the various prayers, you can chant, and then you can do seva, you can worship the feet of the Lord, you can be a servant of the Lord, you can do various things. He says 9 things. But in Kali Yuga, like they have said, the best way is Nama Sankirtanam, right? Just saying the name of the Lord is the highest form of worship in Kali Yuga, because that is the easiest. And I think we saw in one of the chapters also, Bhadrapad talks about the 8 things, right? I forget the stanza. Anyway, so he talks about, Tulasi, worshipping with Tulasi, Gopika, Chandanam, Salagrama, Vipuja. He says, in the very end, he says, Nama Sankirtana Dhyehi. So he says that is the best way. So by saying the name of the Lord, don't be constrained. You can say it anytime you want and always be praising the person. So, he stotaraha, put the ih sound, stotarah. Kavindraha. So that is there, remove it, visarga and comma, Kavindraha. Tamiha khalu yata cheta yadve tathaiva, comma, vyaktam vedasya saram, comma, pranuvata jananopata leela kathabihi. He stotarah kavindraha tamiha khalu yata cheta yadve tathaiva vyaktam vedasya saram pranuvata jananopata leela kathabihi.
हे स्तोदारः कवीन्द्राः तमिह खलु यदा चेदयध्वे तदैव व्यक्तं वेदस्य सारं प्रणुवद जननोपात्तलीला गदाभिः. हे स्तोदारः कवीन्द्राः तमिह खलु यदा चेदयध्वे तदैव व्यक्तं वेदस्य सारं प्रणुवद जननोपात्तलीला गदाभिः.
Kavindraha. There's a visarga there. He stotarah kavindraha.
Okay.
हे स्तोतारः कवीन्द्राः हे स्तोतारः कवीन्द्राः तमिह खलु यथा चेतयध्वे तथैव व्यक्तं वेदस्य सारं प्रणुवत जननोपात्तलीला कथाभिः. हे स्तोतारः कवीन्द्राः तमिह खलु यथा चेतयध्वे तथैव व्यक्तं वेदस्य सारं प्रणुवत जननोपात्तलीला कथाभिः.
Janantaschasya namanyakila sukha karaniti sankirta yadhvam, comma. So one line is continuous. He Vishnu kirtanadhyehi. So remove that is, put a visarga, comma, kirtanadhyehi. Tava khalu mahatas tattva bodham bhajeyam. Janantaschasya namanyakila sukhakaraniiti sankirtayadhvam. He Vishnu kirtanadhihi tava khalu mahatas tattva bodham bhajeyam.
जानन्दश्चास्य नामान्यखिल सुगगराणीति सङ्कीर्तयध्वं. हे विष्णो कीर्तनाद्यैः तव खलु महदस्तत्त्वबोधं भजेयम्. जानन्दश्चास्य नामान्यखिल सुगगराणीति सङ्कीर्तयध्वं. हे विष्णो कीर्तनाद्यैः तव खलु महदस्तत्त्वबोधं भजेयम्.
जानन्तश्चास्य नामान्यखिल अखिल सुखकराणीति सङ्कीर्तयध्वं. हे विष्णो कीर्तनाद्यैः तव खलु महतस्तत्त्वबोधं भजेयम्.
No, andratla namanyakila, ya sound has to come, not a.
Okay. जानन्तश्चास्य नामान्यखिल सुखकराणीति सङ्कीर्तयध्वं. हे विष्णो कीर्तनाद्यैः तव खलु महतस्तत्त्वबोधं भजेयम्.
That's about. विष्णो कर्माणि सम्पश्यत मनसि सदा यैः स धर्मान् बध्नात् ज्ञानीन्द्रस्यैष भृत्य प्रियसख इव च व्यातनोत्क्षेमकारी वीक्षन्ते योगसिद्धाः परपदमनिशं यस्य सम्यक् प्रकाशं विप्रेन्द्रा जागरूकाः कृतबहुनुतयो यच्च निर्भासयन्ते. So previously he was talking about chanting. Now he's saying, even meditation, right? Like we said, if you meditate, there was prescription of how we have to meditate. But even if that is all complex, he says, don't worry about all that Ashtanga yoga meditation and all. Just think about the various activities of the Lord, because that is very easy to do, right? And because he says, just by thinking about how the Lord has taken various incarnations to help various people, and here he's talking examples about Indra. So he says how he has helped Indra in several times, right? So in the Kurma avataram also, if you remember, the Devas go and pray, and that's why he says, okay, I'll come as a tortoise, and then I'm going to live the Mandara mountain, I'm going to help out you. Similarly, in the Vamana avataram also, when Mahabali was going to do the 100th Ashwamedha Yajna, and he was going to become Indra, he came and helped Indra. So like that, he has helped Indra several times. He also helped lot of his devotees. So Ambarisha Charitram we saw, right, where he has helped lot of his devotees. He's helped his friends like Uddhava and Kuchela and all those people he has helped. So just think about the various ways in which the Lord has actually helped everybody. And he says that itself is very good, because the more you kind of start doing that, the more you're going to internalize, right, the devotion that's going to become more, and with that, you're going to get more attached to it. So it's just why he's giving all this as examples, how he has established dharma by helping out various peoples, and that is also one easy way if you're not able to chant the names. So Vishnoho, so put Vishno karmani sampashyata manasi sada. So comma, freeze. Oh, sorry. They freeze. Okay, looks like I.
Yeah, you were frozen.
Okay. It says internet connection is unstable. Okay. Vishnoho, put Vishno karmani sampashyata manasi sada, comma, yaihi is there, put is yais sa dharmana badnad, comma, yanindrasyeisha. So you can't quite break that. Yanindrasyeisha brityaha, put brityaf priya sakha iva cha, comma, vyatanot kshemakari. विष्णो कर्माणि सम्पश्यत मनसि सदा यैष धर्मान् बध्नात् ज्ञानीन्द्रस्यैष भृत्यः प्रियसख इव च व्यातनोत्क्षेमकारी.
विष्णोः कर्माणि सम्पश्यत मनसि सदा यैष धर्मान् बध्नात् ज्ञानीन्द्रस्यैष भृत्यः प्रियसख इव च व्यातनोत्क्षेमकारी. विष्णोत्कर्माणि सम्पश्यत मनसि सदा यैष धर्मान् बध्नात् ज्ञानीन्द्रस्यैष भृत्यः प्रियसख इव च व्यातनोत्क्षेमकारी.
Sorry, Anu, mute your
Sorry. विष्णोः कर्माणि सम्पश्यत मनसि सदा यैष धर्मान् बध्नात् ज्ञानीन्द्रस्यैष भृत्यः प्रियसख इव च व्यातनोत्क्षेमकारी. विष्णोः कर्माणि सम्पश्यत मनसि सदा यैष धर्मान् बध्नात् ज्ञानीन्द्रस्यैष भृत्यः प्रियसख इव च व्यातनोत्क्षेमकारी.
वीक्षन्ते योग सिद्धाः, कमा, परपदम अनिशम यस्य सम्यक् प्रकाशम, कमा, विप्रेन्द्रा जागरूकाः, कमा, कृत बहु नुतयो यच्च निर्भासयन्ते. वीक्षन्ते योग सिद्धाः परपदमनिशं यस्य सम्यक् प्रकाशं विप्रेन्द्रा जागरूकाः कृतबहुनुतयो यच्च निर्भासयन्ते.
वीक्षन्ते योगसिद्धाः परपदमनिशं यस्य सम्यक् प्रकाशं विप्रेन्द्रा जागरूकाः कृतबहुनुतयो यच्च निर्भासयन्ते. वीक्षन्ते योगसिद्धाः परपदमनिशं यस्य सम्यक् प्रकाशं Viprendra jagarugaha Kritabahunudayo yacha nirbhasayante.
Is it Ikshante or Vikshante?
Victor, Vikshante.
Vikshante.
Yeah.
Vikshante yoga siddhaha parapadamaniṣam yasya samyak prakasham viprenda jagarukaha kritabahunutaya yacca nirbhasayante.
And the fourth line, Kritabahunutayo.
Nutayo, okay. Vikshante yoga siddhah parapadamaniṣam yasya samyak prakasham viprenda jagarukaha kritabahunutayo yacca nirbhasayante.
The third line, Yoga Siddhaha. Second time on the Visarga, you didn't say. Yoga Siddhaha.
Okay. Yoga siddha.
That's fine. No jato jayamano picha samadhigatas tvanmahimno vasanam devashreyamsi vidvan pratimuhurapite nama shamsami vishno tam tvam samstomi nanha vidanuti vachanaihi asya lokatrayasya pyurdvam vibhrajamane virachita vasatim tatra vaikuntha loke. She says that people who were born before, who were born earlier than us, who are there right now, and even people who are going to be born later, he says nobody is going to know the extent of your glory, right? So he's kind of saying this to say that just because somebody has composed great works, right, even they have not been able to actually tell your glory, he says, but that's okay. He says, because I am only going to, if you remember the third chapter, right, where he talks about the type of a devotee, greatness, what a supreme devotee needs to be. So Bhattari Bhatt compares about how all the great devotees are not worried about anything, they're roaming freely and all that. He says, I want to be like that. But at the very end, he says, you know, Pura klipte pade varda tava neshyami divasan yata shakti vyaktam. As per my capacity only I can do. I cannot compare myself with somebody who is, you know, superior in something. He says, according to my capacity, I am going to do worship to you, because I cannot do justice by talking about your glory, right? Nobody has been able to, neither can I. So I'm only going to be, according to my capacity, I'm going to worship you here, and I'm going to talk about your greatness. And eventually, by doing that, you know, you who resides in Vaikuntha Loke, right, which is beyond everything, I'll be able to attain that. So please bless me so that according to my capacity. So don't compare. He's just saying, don't compare me to somebody else and saying that person did more worship than you, so he gets preference. He says, only as much I can do, I will do to the best of my abilities. So no jato jayamano piche, comma, samadhi gatas twan mahimnovasanam, one word, mahimnovasanam, comma, deva shreyamsi vidwan, comma, prati muhurapi te nama shamsami vishnu. No jato jayamano piche samadhigatas tvanmahimno vasanam devashreyamsi vidwan pratimuhurapite nama shamsami vishnu.
No jado jayamano bija samadhigadastvanmahimno vasanam devashreyamsi vidwan pratimuhurapite nama shamsami vishnu. No jado jayamano bija samadhigadastvanmahimno vasanam devashreyamsi vidwan pratimuhurapite nama shamsami vishnu.
No jato jayamanopi cha samadhigatastvanmahimno vasanam devashreyamsi vidvan pratimuhurapite nama shamsami vishnu. No jato jayamanopi cha samadhigatastvanmahimno vasanam devashreyamsi vidvan pratimuhurapite nama shamsami vishnu.
Tam tvam samstavomi nanavida nuti vachanaihi. So the ra that is there, remove it, put a visarga on comma, vachanaihi, comma. Next word starts with the a. Asya loka trayasyapi urdhvam. I think if your books have trayasyapi urdhvam, if you have that, then you just have to join it. So you put a plus at the end of that line. Loka trayasyap urdhvam vibhrajamane, and then a comma. So one comma after vachanaihi in the third line, then continues, and vibhrajamane, comma, Virachita Vasatim Tatra Vaikuntha Loke. Tam Tvam Samstaumi Nana Vidanuti Vachanaihi Asya Lokatrayasya Pyurdvam Vibhrajamane Virachita Vasatim Tatra Vaikuntha Loke.
Tam Tvam Samstaumi Nana Vidanuti Vachanaihi Asya Lokatrayasya Pyurdvam Vibhrajamane Virajita Vasatim Tatra Vaikuntha Loke. Tam Tvam Samstaumi Nana Vidanuti Vachanaihi Asya Lokatrayasya Pyurdvam Vibhrajamane Virajita Vasatim Tatra Vaikuntha Loke.
Tam Tvam Samstaumi Nana Vidanuti Vachanaihi Asya Lokatrayasya Pyurdvam Vibhrajamane Virachita Vasatim Tatra Vaikuntha Loke. Tam Tvam Samstaumi Nana Vidanuti Vachanaihi Asya Lokatrayasya Pyurdvam Vibhrajamane Virachita Vasatim Tatra Vaikuntha Loke.
We'll switch halfway. Anand, you can be a student, and Vasu, you can be a student. Stanza 6. Apasrishtyaadi janya pratamamai vibho garbhadeshe dhadhustvam yatra tvayeva jiva jalashayana hare sangata aikyamapan tasya jasya prabhote vinihitam abhavat padmamekam hinabhau dikpatram yat kilahuhu khanakadharani bhritkarnikam lokarupam. So of course none of the praise is it's not not complete till you talk about how the whole cosmos came about, because that is the ultimate praise, right? Saying that nothing was there. So it talks about how at the end of the pralaya time, and again, like I said, this is kind of a review of all the things you've learned, right? So he talks about how at the end of the pralaya, when nothing was existing, everything had merged into you, right? At the end of the Prakritika Pralaya. But that doesn't mean that nothing was there. It was all there in some kind of a sukshma form. The example we kind of talked about was how, like, you pick an apple seed, right? Now, if I ask a question, is there an apple tree in it? The answer is going to be no. But then the same seed, you just plant it, and with sun and water and the right conditions, an apple tree comes out of it, right? Similarly, it says all of that is existing. It is existing in some sukshma form which we don't understand inside of you, right? And when nothingness is there, and then it says, like, it says when the appropriate time comes, at the evam cha dviparardha kala vikata, the two parardhas of Brahma is over when that pralayam happens, and when you wish, right, without any desire, when, like, just like how a magnet automatically attracts all the metal nails, when you just desire at that time, everything starts coming out, right? So he says that's the greatness, or that's the only way to, that's the best greatness you can talk about. So he says similarly, that's what he says in a Padma Mekam Hinabha, and then from your Nabi, in this case in the Padma Kalpa, one Brahma then comes out, and then the entire Hiranya Andam comes, and then you create the 14 worlds, all that stuff, right? So all of that is there, and similarly you came and then you created all the worlds, both in the subtle form as well as in the form we are experiencing right now. So apaha, put is apas srishtyadi janyaha, put f janyaf pratamam ai vibho, comma garbhadeshe dhadustvam, comma yatra tvayeva jiva jala shayana hare. At that time you were just residing on the shayana post, you were just lying down, right? Jala shayana hare, comma sangata aikyamapan. आपसृष्ट्यादि जन्याः प्रथममयि विभो गर्भदेशे दधुस्त्वां यत्र त्वय्येव जीवा जलशयन हरे संगता ऐक्यमापन्.
आपसृष्ट्यादि जन्याः प्रथममयि विभो गर्भदेशे दधुस्त्वां यत्र त्वय्येव जीवा जलशयन हरे संगता ऐक्यमापन्. आपसृष्ट्यादिजन्याः प्रथममयि विभो गर्भदेशे दधुस्त्वां यत्र त्वय्येव जीवा जलशयन हरे संगता ऐक्यमापन्.
आपसृत्यादि जन्याः प्रथममयि विभो गर्भदेशे दधुस्त्वां यत्र त्वय्येव जीवा जलशयन हरे संगता ऐक्यमापन् आपस्सुध्यादि जन्याः प्रथममयि विभो गर्भदेशे ददुस्त्वां यत्र त्वय्येव जीवा जलशयन हरे संगता ऐक्यमापन्.
the second line Jalashayana Hare. After that there is a comma. Okay.
ஜீவாஹா கிடையாதுல உங்க இதுல?
இல்ல because the ja is coming later, there is no visarga there, that goes away. So yatra tvayeva jiva jalashayana hare. Individual word irukkumbod there will be jivaha, but that just goes away when you put ja next to it.
Okay.
Tasya jasya prabhote comma vinihitam abhavat. If you want to break it, vinihitam abhavat padmamekam hi nabhau comma Dikpatram yat kilahuhu, comma Kanaka dharani bhrit karnikam lokarupam.
ஒரே நிமிஷம். அந்த நெக்ஸ்ட் திக்பத்ரம் யத் கிலஹுஹு ஆது.
Kilahu and then visarga. Kilahuhu.
Okay.
Tasya jasya prabhote Binihitam abhavat padmamekam hi nabhau dikpatram yat kilahuhu kanakadharani bhrit karnikam lokarupam.
तस्याजस्य प्रबोधे विनिहितमभवत् पद्ममेघं हि नाभो दिक्पत्रं यत्किलाहुः कनकधरणिभृत्कर्णिकं लोकरूपं. तस्याजस्य प्रबोधे विनिहितमभवत् पद्ममेघं हि नाभो दिक्पत्रं यत्किलाहुः कनकधरणिभृत्कर्णिकं लोकरूपम्.
तस्याजस्य प्रबोधे विनिहितमभवत् पद्ममेघं हि नाभौ दिक्पत्रं यत्किलाहुः कनकधरणिभृत् कर्णिकं लोकरूपम्. तस्याजस्य प्रबोधे विनिहितमभवत् पद्ममेघं हि नाभौ दिक्पत्रं यत्किलाहुः कनकधरणिभृत् कर्णिकं लोकरूपम्.
Stanza 7. He lokaha Vishnuretadbhuvanamajanayath tanna janita yuhyam yushmakam hyantarastam kimapi thadaparam vidyate Vishnurupam nihara prakyamaya parivrita manaso mohita namarupaihi prana pritheka tripta charatamaka hanta necha mukunde. So he's kind of, but the part is primarily talking to, lokaha is what do you call, addressing the entire world here, but he's primarily talking about people who are like forced, who are doing rituals, right? That's what he's targeting, right? He's saying that you do not understand that this Vishnu who is there is, first of all, Vishnu is there everywhere, right? That's number one. And two is he's also antarastam, he's also inside you. So he's, to the extent that he is there everywhere, at the same time he's also residing inside you. But what happens is, it says Maya, because of this Maya, you are now considering different names, different forms, you're offering different sacrifices and everything. But he says all of this, it's you don't have to, the different names and different forms are only because of what you want it to be. He says at the end of the day, that Vishnu is already there inside you, the Paramatma is already there inside you, and he's primarily saying people who perform rituals for the sake of getting materialistic benefits and everything. He says, why are you wasting your time doing it? This is just like when Adi Shankaracharya composed Bhaja Govindam, right? He went and saw this one person who was trying to learn grammar, right? And he's saying, why are you doing it? Don't do any such things. He says, just Bhaja Govindam, right? Just say Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. That is enough for you. You don't have to do anything. Similarly, here is saying, na hanta, alas, by doing all these things, you are not Icha, na icha. That's what he's saying, the last word. Necha mukunde, na icha. You are not desiring mukunda. If you are not desiring mukunda, all the rituals, everything you are doing is absolutely useless. It's not worth it, right? So you rather just say mukunda. But if you're doing all these things with mukunda in mind, with devotion, then absolutely fine. But if you're doing it only for the sake of sense enjoyments or all the other things, then it is of no use, right? By doing it, you're missing it. And this also is like the Vipra Patni episodes. If you remember, Krishna and all the boys they first go to the And we talk about the Mimamsa, the people who believe that the Purva Mimamsas are people who believe that your only duty is to perform homams. And that will take care of everything. All the oblations which you're offering into the fire will give you everything. You don't have to pray to anybody. That is their belief, the Purva Mimamsas, right? So they first go and they all don't give anything. Then Krishna says, go and talk to the Vipra Patni, right? They will give you anything you want, right? You just say my name. So he says that is what you need to have, the devotion. So just doing all these things without devotion is of no use. Jayashree.
So Mimamsa Shastramங்கிறது வந்து doing ritualistic things தான் Mimamsa Shastram.
That is Mimamsa. There is a Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. Two groups were there. The Purva Mimamsa are the people Mimamsas who were there before, who believed that there is no reason, you don't have to pray to God or anything. You just do your rituals. You just do your homam. Right? You just Agni, Swaha, and the Swaha. Just you keep doing your rituals, and that will take care of everything. There is no God, no praying, and all that. Just purely doing rituals. That is a Purva Mimamsa. Then there is a Uttara Mimamsa, which is the people. Then the evolution of this Mimamsa became Uttara Mimamsa, who said you still have to do your rituals and all of that stuff, but then there is a God who is receiving it, and that God is going to give you the benefits of it. The first one said you don't have to believe in God or anything of that sort. You just do your rituals. So other than the Mimamsa, there are two categories or the evolution of those Mimamsas.
Because Adi Shankara actually confronted Mandana Mishra on the Mimamsa Shastra only.
Correct. Ama.
He took him as a disciple. He was only with Mimamsa Shastra, like you said, will take care of everything.
Correct. That they are the Purva Mimamsa, the first early Mimamsas, early type of Mimamsa, who only believe that you only have to do your rituals. You don't even have to say there is God. You don't have to accept there is God also. There's nothing. You just do your rituals. And that rituals itself will give you the benefits. Right? Of everything.
Thanks.
So, He Lokhaha, put a Visarga there and comma. Vishnuretat Bhuvanam Ajanayat. If you want to break it, Bhuvanam Ajanayat Tanna Janita Yuyam, comma. Yushmakam Hyantarastam. So it is he and a becomes hya, hyantarastam, comma, kimapi tadaparam vidyate Vishnu Rupam.
Rajeshji, first line, only one comma at the end?
After he lokaha.
Okay.
He lokaha Vishnuretat bhuvanamajanayat tanna janita yuyam yushmakam hyantarastam kimapi tadaparam vidyate Vishnu Rupam.
He lokaha Vishnuretat bhuvanamajanayat tanna janita yuyam yushmakam hyantarastam kimapi tadaparam vidyate Vishnu Rupam. He lokaha Vishnuretat bhuvanamajanayat tanna janita yuyam yushmakam hyantarastam kimapi tadaparam vidyate Vishnu Rupam.
He loka Vishnuretat bhuvanamajanayat tanna janita yoyam yushmakam hyantarastam kimapi tadaparam vidyate Vishnu Rupam.
So in the first line, He Lokhaha, there's a Visarga there. You add a Visarga if you don't have it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. In book
See, some of these words, when you pause, like Hey Lokaha, oh world, oh people of the world, you kind of pause in there, right? So then the Visarga gets added. And the previous one of the things, the Jivaha, again, if you had paused at the Jivaha, then we would have add the Visarga. But if you're not pausing, and the next word is some other B or Ja and all that stuff, the Visarga goes away. That's why.
Rajesh, I had this question. So, whether in this or even in Devi Mahatmyam, right? When you pause, we have to put a Visarga in it?
No, not all the words. When it is referring to nouns, He Lokaha, He Jivaha, when it's referring to nouns, right?
Okay.
Then the Visarga comes there.
Okay. He Lokaha Vishnuretat bhuvanamajanayat tanna janita yoyam. Yuyam, okay. Janita yuyam yusmakam hyantarastam kimapi tadaparam vidyate Vishnu Rupam.
Nihara Prakya Maya Parivrita Manaso Mohita nama rupaihi. So no pause there, comma then, nama rupaihi. Prana pritieka triptaha. That ish that is there, remove it, put a visarga comma, triptaha. Charata makha para hanta necha mukunde. Nihara prakyamaya parivrita manaso mohita nama rupaihi prana pritika triptaha charata makhapara hantane cha mukunde.
Nihara prakyamaya parivrita manaso mohita nama rupaihi prana pritika triptaha charata makhapara hantane cha mukunde. Nihara prakyamaya parivrita manaso mohida nama rupaihi prana prityeka triptaha charadamagapara khandane cha mukunde.
Rajesh, is there a comma after manaso?
Only one. No, the third line there is no comma. The whole line is continuous. Yeah.
Okay.
Nihara prakyamaya parivrita manaso mohita nama rupaihi prana prityeka triptaha charata makhapara hantanicha antanicha mukunde.
Necha.
Necha vada? Necha.
Na icha. Necha.
Okay. Necha. Okay. Nihara prakyamaya parivrita manaso mohita nama rupaihi prana prityeka triptaha charata makhapara hantanecha mukunde.
Answer 8. Murdhnam akshnam padhanam vahasi khalu sahasrani sampurya vishwam tatprotkamyapi tishthan parimita vivare bhasi chittaantarepi bhutam bhavyam cha sarvam parapurusha bhavan kincha dehendriyadishva vishtopyudgadatvat amrita sukarasam chanu bhungshe tvameva. So the next two stanzas are directly taken from Purusha Suktam. So I'll at least chant the first few lines of it to kind of say that what the comparison is. For those who heard of it, it says Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha. Sahasra Shirsha means one who has thousands of head. Doesn't mean he has only 1,000 heads. Thousands. You have to add the word S there because you cannot count how many. Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. Sahasra Aksha means thousands of eyes. The reason for saying thousands of eyes means he can see that Purusha can see everything, right? I don't want to use the word he here because I'll tell you what that means here. But that Purusha can see everywhere, anywhere it is there. Sahasrapat means thousands of feet, is to say the person can be any place, right? They're not bound by anything. And Sahasra Shirsha means thousands of head means each head has got mind and brain and everything. So you have certain intelligence. So Sahasra Shirsha means thousands of head means you have like unlimited intelligence. We are all bound by what intelligence one head has, right? So Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sa Bhumi Vishwatam Rutva Atyadishta Dashangula. So wherever this person is there, is transcending the whole universe and fills everything. There's no place this person is not there. And then it talks about Purusha Evedagum Sarvam. This Purusha is actually not referring to one person. It's referring to that, if you remember, that Purusha Prakriti we saw in the Sankhya philosophy, right? Kapilopakyanam. So this Purusha doesn't mean it's a male. It is a person who leads. Okay, the person who is the leader of the person. So this Purusha who is not bound by anything, this Purusha existed in the past, this Purusha exists now, this Purusha exists in the future, right? And so that's why even Sahasram also it says, right? Bhutya Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. This person who is there every time, every place and not bound by anything. And this, the same thing, it says Bhutam Bhavyam Cha Sarvam Parapurusha Bhavan. So you are there at all points in time. Like we spoke earlier also, you are also there in the inner cavity of everybody as Paramatma. You are also there outside and everything. And you are not bound by anything. And then you then enter Dehendriyadi. You are then enter the body and you form the various sensory organs. You form the organs of action. All of it is only you. There's nothing that is not you, right? That is how even Purusha Suktam starts with the same thing they're saying here also, which is again, Purusha Suktam comes from the Rig Veda also. So this is referring to the Rig Veda here. So talking about the Paramatma being everywhere as well as inside of you in a subtle form, right? That's what it is. So Murdhnam Akshnam, which is the same thing. Murdhna means a head, Akshna means eye, Padanam means feet. That's the same thing it starts with. Murdhnam Akshnam Padanam, comma, vahasi khalu sahasrani sampurya vishwam, comma, tat protkramyapi tishtan, comma, parimita vivare bhasi chittantarepi. मूर्ध्नामक्ष्णां पदानां वहसि खलु सहस्राणि सम्पूर्य विश्वं तत्प्रोत्क्रम्यापि तिष्ठन् परिमितविवरे भासि चित्तान्तरेऽपि.
मूर्ध्नामक्ष्णां पदानां वहसि खलु सहस्राणि सम्पूर्य विश्वं तत्प्रोत्क्रम्यापि तिष्ठन् परिमितविवरे भासि चित्तान्तरेऽपि. मूर्ध्नामक्ष्णां पदानां वहसि खलु सहस्राणि सम्पूर्य विश्वं तत्प्रोत्क्रम्यापि तिष्ठन् परिमितविवरे भासि चित्तान्तरेऽपि.
मूर्ध्नामक्ष्णां पदानां वहसि खलु सहस्राणि सम्पूर्य विश्वं तत्प्रोत्क्रम्यापि तिष्ठन् परिमितविवरे भासि चित्तान्तरेऽपि. मूर्ध्नामक्ष्णां पदानां वहसि खलु सहस्राणि सम्पूर्य विश्वं तत्प्रोत्क्रम्यापि तिष्ठन् परिमितविवरे भासि चित्तान्तरेऽपि.
भूतं भव्यं च सर्वं परपुरुष भवान्, comma, किंच देहेन्द्रियादिश, so you put a plus at the end of that line, kincha dehendriyajishvavishto, so that entire thing comes together, dehendriyadishvavishto pyud, because the apyud is there but the s symbol is there, so you kind of have to say the whole word together. So I'll repeat, this is a little bit of a tough line. Dehendriyadishvavishto pyud gatatvad amrita sukha rasam chanubhungshe tvameva. So that whole line is together. So kincha dehendriyadish vavishtopyut gatatvad amrita sukha rasam chanubhungshe tvameva. Bhutam bhavyam cha sarvam parapurusha bhavan kincha dehendriyadish vavishtopyut gatatvad amrita sukha rasam chanubhungshe tvameva.
भूतं भव्यं च सर्वं परपुरुष भवान् किंच देहेन्द्रियादिष्वाविष्टोऽप्युत् गदत्वाद् अमृतसुखरसं चानुभुङ्क्षे त्वमेव. भूतं भव्यं च सर्वं परपुरुष भवान् किंच देहेन्द्रियादिष्वाविष्टोऽप्युत् गदत्वाद् अमृतसुखरसं चानुभुङ्क्षे त्वमेव.
भूतं भव्यं च सर्वं परपुरुष भवान् किंच देहेन्द्रियादिश वाविष्टोऽप्युत् गतत्वात् अमृतसुखरसं चानुभुङ्क्षे त्वमेव. You two missed an ital.
That's it. No, I think you said it correct. Tune the author, but you said it correct. Yeah.
भूतं भव्यं च सर्वं परपुरुष भवान् किंच देहेन्द्रियादिश वाविष्टोऽप्युत् गतत्वात् अमृतसुखरसं चानुभुङ्क्षे त्वमेव.
Yeah. Stanza 9. Yattu त्रैलोक्यरूपं धददपि च ततो निर्गतोऽनन्तशुद्धज्ञानात्मा वर्तसे त्वं तव खलु महिमा सोऽपि तावान् किमन्यते स्तोकस्ते भाग एवाखिल भुवनतया दृश्यते त्र्यंशकल्पं भूयिष्ठं सान्द्रमोदात्मकमुपरि ततो भाति तस्मै नमस्ते. So this you have to remember, right? How where when the Brahmandam in the I think the fifth or sixth chapter end, when the whole the Brahmandam was getting created. So you were there and then you first created the Brahmandam, you then entered into that Brahmandam and then you created the 14 worlds and then you had the Virat Purusha Varnanam, right? We saw how you yourself are the 14 worlds and we saw the description of the 14 worlds in the 6th Dasakam, right? From the feet, it goes all the way up to the top and everything. So this one, This is also coming from the Purusha Suktam, the next line, which is Etavanasya mahima ato jayahuscha purushah padho osya vishwa bhutani tripadasya divi. He says this one, the you who has created this entire thing, and you have the various worlds of it, and then it also says Tripad Urdha Udayat Purusha. It says the entire world that we know, the Brahmandam that we know, is only a quarter of your energy, which is coming as this whole Brahmandam. He says a 3/4 of your energy is not, it's a complete spiritual energy of yours, which is not getting recycled. So when I mean recycle, I mean like this Brahmandam getting created, the Brahmandam then merging into you, the whole thing coming out again. All of that is only 3/4 out of 1/4 of your entire material energy is what is actually getting created in this whole world. Entire 3/4 of your energy is untouched, is existing in a spiritual form. It doesn't even get used. That is how massive you are, right? That is kind of talking about, and that's what even Purusha Suktam is saying, and that's what even they are saying here. Because Stota Bhaga Eva. So among all your things, only a very small portion of your energy is actually getting recycled or getting used for the creation of these things. Right? So to that, to salutation. So at the end it says Bhati Tasmai Namaste. So to you who is incomprehensible, because the entire Brahmandam is only 1/4 of your energy and 3/4 is outside of it, there's no way for us to comprehend. So to that you, my namaste, right? My salutations to you. So yattu Trailokya Rupam, comma Dhadadapi is there. If you want to, if you are able to say it together, great. If you want to break it, Dhadadapi, it becomes, or Dhadadapi Chatato Nirgato Nanta Shuddha, and then put a plus, Jnanatma Vartase Tvam, comma Tava Khalu Mahima Sopi Tavan Kimanyate. Yattu Trailokya Rupam Dhadadapi Chatato Nirgato Nanta Shuddha Jnanatma Vartase Tvam Tava Khalu Mahima Sopi Tavan Kimanyate.
Yattu Trailokya Rupam Dhadadapi Chatato Nirgato Nanta Shuddha Jnanatma Vartase Tvam Tava Khalu Mahima Sopi Tavan Kimanyate. Yattu Trailokya Rupam Dhadadapi Chatato Nirgado Nanda Shuddha Jnanatma Vartase Tvam Tava Khalu Mahima Sobhitavan Kamanyat.
Yattu Trailokya Rupam Dadadapi Chatato Nirgato Nanta Shuddha Jnanatma Vartase Tvam Tava Khalu Mahima Sopitavan Kimanyat.
Tavan Kimanyat.
Tava, okay. Tavan written. Tava, okay. Yattu Trailokya Rupam Dhadapi Chatato Nirgato Nanta Shuddha Jnanatma Vartate Tvam Tava Khalu Mahima Sopitavan Kimanyat.
Stokaste Bhaga Evakhila Bhuvana Thaya. So Akhila Bhuvana, the entire world is only small portion. Evakhila Bhuvana Thaya, comma Drishyate Tryamsha Kalpam, and then put a plus. So Tryamsha Kalpam is referring to the 3/4. So by reference, we're saying this is the everything else which is 3/4 of yours. Tryamsha Kalpam plus, we put a plus there. Bhuyishtam Sandra Modatmakam Upari Tato Bhati Tasmai Namaste. So that is the entire Purusha. If you take it as one, then you're saying that only 1/4 of that Purusha is actually, material energy of the Purusha is getting used in the 14 words. Stokaste Bhaga Eva Khila Bhuvanataya Drishyate Trimshakalpam Bhuyishtam Sandramodatmakam Uparitato Bhati Tasmai Namaste.
Stokaste Bhaga Eva Khila Bhuvanataya Drishyate Trimshakalpam Bhuyishtam Sandramodatmakam Uparitato Bhati Tasmai Namaste. Stokaste Bhaga Eva Khila Bhuvanataya Drishyate Trimshakalpam Bhuyishtam Sandramodatmakam Uparitato Bhati Tasmai Namaste.
Stokaste Bhaga Eva Khila Bhuvanataya Drishyate Tramsha Kalpam Bhuyishtam सान्द्रमोदात्मकमुपरि ततो भाति तस्मै नमस्ते तोकस्ते भाग एवाखिल भुवनतया दृश्यते त्र्यंश कल्पं भूयिष्ठं चान्द्रमोदात् मखमुपरि ततो भाति तस्मै नमस्ते.
That's a 10. Avyaktam te swarupam dhuradighamatamham tattu shuddhaika sattvam vyaktam chapyetadeva sputam amritarasam bodhi kallola tulyam sarvotkristam abhishtam tadiha gunarase naiva chittam harantim murtim te samshrayeham pavanapurapate pahimam krishna rogat. So this one incidentally is the exact meaning that the first stanza we learned, right? So that's why I think explaining the meaning of this is same as explaining the meaning of that first stanza, Sandra Nandava Bodhatmakam. So it's perfect way for us to finish it. So he says this Purusha definition of yours, this Brahman definition of yours, which is nothing but supreme bliss, right? Sandra Nandava Bodhatmakam. It is filled with supreme bliss, the consciousness, right? Anupamitam, it is beyond comparison. You cannot compare it to anything, that Brahman. Kala Desha Vadibhyam. We said it is beyond, it's not constrained by time, it is not constrained by space, it is not there in one place at one time. It is there at all places at all time. Kala Desha Vadibhyam. Nirmuktam Nitya Muktam. So it's always, Nitya Muktam is always free. It is not bound by the control of Maya. We already saw that. Everybody else inside the Brahmandam is bound by Maya. This is always free. Nitya Muktam. Right? Nigama Shatasahasrena Nirbhasya Manam. All these various Upanishads, like what we saw, this Rig Veda, all these Vedas, Upanishads, all try to explain, right? But Aspashtam. But even though, they all describe it, it is very difficult for people to understand what the Brahman is. Right? Very difficult for people to comprehend what the Brahman is. Aspashtam Drishnamatre. And Punaruru Purushat Atmakam Brahma Tattvam. So although it is explained everything, but once you realize that Brahman, it is the highest Purushartha, it's the highest of blessings you can get, which is liberation. So the Dharmartha Kama Moksham, the final Moksham liberation you'll get once you fully understand that. So that Tattavad Bhati Sakshat Guru Pavanapure, oh Lord of Guruvayur, that Brahman which is so impossible to comprehend, you are standing right there in front of me in Guruvayur as this idol, which is exactly what Bhattacharya is saying here. That Brahman, which is very difficult for me to comprehend, what we just explained, I take refuge in that form of you as Krishna. Murtim te samshrayeham. This idol of yours, which I am seeing right now in front of me, because Bhattacharya is writing up the 19th Dasakam last stanza. This Murti form of yours, which I am seeing in front of you, samshrayeham. I am going to take refuge in that idol form of yours. Because it's very difficult for me to comprehend this Brahman, understand this Brahman, and then finally get liberation. So I'm not going to do all that trouble. I'm just going to surrender myself to this Sattvic Murti form of yours. O Pavanapurapate, O Lord of Guruvayur, Pahimam Krishna Rogat. Please eradicate all the ailments I have. So pretty much this is like a summary of the first stanza that we learned there. So Avyaktam te swarupam, Dhuradi gamatamam, Tattu Shuddhaika Sattvam, Vyaktam Chapyetadeva, Sputam Amrita Rasambodhi Kallola Tulyam. Avyaktam te swarupam Dhuradighamatamam Tattu Shuddhaika Sattvam Vyaktam Chapyetadeva Sputam Amrita Rasambodhi Kallola Tulyam.
Avyaktam te swarupam suradighamatamam tattu shuddheka sattvam vyaktam chapyeta deva sputam amrtarasam bodhi kallola tulyam. Avyaktam te swarupam duradighamatamam tattu shuddheka sattvam vyaktam chapyeta deva sputam amrtarasam bodhi kallola tulyam.
Avyaktam te swarupam duradighamatamam Tattu Shuddhaika Sattvam Vyaktam Chapyeta Deva Sputam Amritarasam Bodhi Kallola Tulyam. Avyaktam te swarupam Dhuradighamatamam Tattu Shuddhaika Sattvam Vyaktam Chapyeta Deva Sputam Amritarasam Bodhi Kallola Tulyam.
सर्वोत्कृष्टाम् अभीष्टां, तदिह गुण रसेनैव चित्तं हरन्तीं, मूर्तिं ते संश्रयेऽहं, पवन पुरपते पाहि मां कृष्ण रोगात्. सर्वोत्कृष्टामभीष्टां तदिह गुणरसेनैव चित्तं हरन्तीं, मूर्तिं ते संश्रयेऽहं, पवनपुरपते पाहि मां कृष्णरोगात्.
I really don't want to say this one. This is the last class, and
I think all of us, everybody, why not listen? Everybody say it, right? Because it's the last stanza, so we can end the class that way.
It's very difficult, Rajesh. So every day, when we come on Saturday, it's we can chant this slogas every day, but the way you are explaining, we are really, literally, we are enjoying. We are saying we are in Guruvayur. I really don't want to say that this will be end the class. I
know. I feel extremely bad. I think this has been amazing, right? So I think the best way for me to spend my Saturday mornings, right? And what I also do is the first couple of batches I took. I mean, I did explain the meaning, but I didn't go into the level of meaning I did for this batch, right? Because if you remember, I gave some of you the choice to say, do you want to switch to an earlier batch to accelerate the last 50? And you all said no, right? We want to go through the detailed meaning, right? So I think this is one of the batches, and all the other batches are also benefiting because I spent so much time trying to understand Bhagavatam to explain to you, right? At least to the best of my capacity, right? Yathar Shakti, to explain it. So I absolutely enjoyed it. And I also feel very bad saying the last one, but we have to still finish it. So please, all of you can say the last thing once, and that anyway is the perfect ending also, right? It's kind of saying that you are surrendering to the form of the Brahman who is in the form of Krishna in Guruvayur.
That's very true, because now we don't know what to do for Saturday, 7 o'clock, Rajesh.
Absolutely.
You have to continue, Rajesh. We will just chant. I cannot have my Saturdays without chanting.
Without chanting, without Rajesh agenda on Thursday. As a professor myself, I've learned a lot from you, Rajesh. How dedicated you are. I have changed my way of teaching also, where I send them, just like you, this is what I'm going to do, this is what it is. And, not pinpointing. I've not been perfect, but not pinpointing the mistakes. And I've learned a lot from you. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. Yeah, all of you, why don't we just go through and you all can say that thing once, the whole stanza once, right? We can just wrap it up that way.
Sarvotkrishtam tadiha gunarasenaiva chittam harandim murtim te samsrayeham pavana purapate pahima Krishna roga. Do I have to repeat?
No, just one is okay. Sindhuji, you can go ahead. Yeah.
From the beginning, right?
Yeah, that full stanza, yeah.
Avyaktam de swarupam duradigamadamam tattu shuddhaiga sattvam vyaktam javetya deva spudamamrdarasam bodhikallola tulyam sarvotkristam abhishtam tadiha gunarasenaiva chittam harandim murtim de samsrayeham pavanapurapade pahimam Krishna roga.
So who's going next? You all can take turns, yeah. Anu, ninga porilla.
Avyaktam te swarupam duradigamathamam tattu shuddhaikasatvam vyaktam chapyetadeva sputamamritarasam bodhikallolatulyam sarvotkristam abhishtam tadiha gun.
I can go next.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Avyaktam te swarupam duradigamathamam tattu shuddhaikasatvam vyaktam chapyetadeva sputamamritarasam bodhikallolatulyam sarvotkristamabhishtam tadiha gunarasenaiva chittam harantim murtim te samshrayeham पवनपुरपते पाहि मां कृष्णरोगात्. श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः.
Yeah, the Krishna Rogata, Sarva Rogata.
Krishna Roga, because the Krishna is actually referring to O Krishna. It is a kind of, because when you just use the word Krishna in the Sanskrit Landamari, it is referring to O Krishna Pahimam Roga. So even though it comes later, it's referring to as in the first person calling O Krishna.
Okay.
Avyaktam te swarupam durdiga madamam tattu shuddhaiga satvam vyaktam chapyeda deva spudamrudara sampodhi kallola tulyam sarvotkristam abhishtam tadiha gunaraseneva chittam harantim murtim te samshrayeham pavanapurapate pahi mam krishna rogat. Sri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha.
Avyaktam te swarupam duradhigamathamam tattu shuddhaikasatvam vyaktam chapyetadeva sputamamritarasa rasambodhikallolatulyam sarvotkrishnabhabhishtam tadiha gunarase naiva chittam harantim murtim te samshrayeham pavanapurapate pahi mam krishna rogat. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha.
Avyaktam te swarupam duradhikamatamam tattu shuddhaikasatvam vyaktam chapyetadeva sputamamritarasam bodhikallolatulyam sarvotkristam abhishtam tadiha gunarase naiva chittam harantim murtim te samshrayeham pavanapurapate pahi mam krishna rogat. Shri Krishna.
अव्यक्तं ते स्वरूपं दुरधिगमतमं तत्तु शुद्धैकसत्त्वं व्यक्तं चाप्येतदेव स्फुटममृतरसाम्भोधिकल्लोलतुल्यं सर्वोत्कृष्टामभीष्टां तदिह गुणरसे नैव चित्तं हरन्तीं मूर्तिं ते संश्रयेऽहं पवनपुरपते पाहि मां कृष्ण.
Deepa Vasu.
Yeah. Avyaktam te swarupam dhuradhigamathamam tattu shuddhaikasatvam vyaktam chapyetadeva sputamritarasam bodhikallolatulyam sarvotkrishatma bhishtam tadiha gunarase naiva chittam harantim murtim te samshrayeham pavanapurapate pahi mam krishna rogat.
Avyaktam te swarupam duradhigamatam tatru shuddhaikasatvam vyaktagyayetadeva sfuta amrita rasambodhi kallolatulyam sarvotrishta Trishtam Bhishtam Tadiha Gunarase Naiva Chintam Harantim Murtim Te Samshrayeham Pavanapurapate Pahi Mam Krishna Roga.
I think everybody said, right? I think, yeah. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. So can all of you come on video for a second? I know we're missing Narayani and Revati, I think, in today's class. Everybody else is there. So
Rajesh, when you started the class, right? I was the first one would start with the chapter number 1. You picked me as a student.
I don't remember.
Now the last one you picked me. I said, "Oh my God."
I didn't remember that. I mean, I suppose I track, but I don't remember it. I mean, we started correct April 14th, 2021 was when we started. So kind of just short of 2 years, right? We were able to complete it.
I don't know how Rajesh picked me. I was thinking the first class you chose me as a student. I know how Sadapafai that I did as the first one, and I sent you a message. I cannot be a student, Rajesh. After 2.5 years, the end of the Narayaneeyam, I'm a student again.
I was
a student.
I was also a student, so first
நானும் நீங்களும் ஆமாமா கரெக்ட்.
ராஜேஷ் உங்களுக்கு ஒன்றும் எஸ்கேப்பே கிடையாது. யூ ஹாவ் டு டூ சம்திங், ஸ்டார்ட் பேக் சம்திங். இஸ் வாட் யூ
அப்சல்யூட்லி. இது ஆர்த்தி வந்தாச்சு. வசு நீங்களும் தீபா வீடியோல இல்ல.
You in video serial, Rajesh, I'm not coming.
No, just come. It's okay. Don't worry. I'll quickly take a screen grab.
Okay. இது நமஸ்கார ஸ்லோகம். I didn't even know நாராயணத்தில் நமஸ்கார ஸ்லோகம் இருக்கு சொல்லிட்டு அந்த 13 நமஸ்கார ஸ்லோகம் I do it every day.
98
98 11 and then these two I do every day. ஆமா. Yeah.
Deepa, இன்னும் நீங்க you're not there yet. Deepa. இப்ப நீங்க வந்து ஐபேட்னு வருவேல் உங்க வீடியோல.
தீபா ஒரு மூஞ்சிய பாக்குறதுக்கு ஆவலோட வெயிட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். வா வா. I think மியூட் போர்ட்ல போயிட்டான்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
No, she is not on mute.
எடுத்துட்டேல பிக்சர்.
இருங்க அங்க எடுக்கிறேன்.
பாவ ஜெயஸ்ரீ எவ்வளவு நேரம் தான் ஸ்மைல் பண்ணுவா.
Yeah, I just took now.
அனுப்புங்களுக்கெல்லாம்.
I'll put it in the WhatsApp group. Yeah.
You are excellent. Oh, looking forward.
Okay, all of you look straight again.
Yes, ஐயோ பகவானே குருவாயூரப்பா.
Yeah, just took it.
Cheers to Rajesh ji in Punta Cana.
Also, I didn't want to miss the last class, unnecessarily deferred by one more week, right?
குருவாயூரப்பன் உங்களை ஒரு இடத்துலயே கொண்டுட்டு போறார். இருக்கா நோய்டால, ஒருக்கா குருவாயூர்ல, ஒருக்கா புண்ட கானால,
from all over
the place. ஆமா.
No, absolutely.
ஆயாச்சு. ஆமா.
Absolutely. I also truly enjoyed all of your company.
Saturday morning என்ன பண்றது really I mean அதான் எல்லாரும்
ராஜேஷ் உங்களுக்கு வேற என்னெல்லாம் தெரியும் ராஜேஷ்?
நீங்கலாம் first April 15th ஆத்துக்குவாங்க. I think only Jayashree is not able to come, I believe. I think and Aarti, you guys can still consider
coming. Apart from that, what next class you can teach us? That's what we want to know.
Already starting Devi Matmyam on Tuesday or when Tuesday next week.
March 14th Tuesday. ஆமா.
Saturdays we are continuing chanting, right, Rajesh? You said that we can continue chanting.
We can do that. I think if you want, I think what we can do is we can finish at least one full 100, right? Like I think at the speed at which we go, we can do about 20 in each class. So what we can do is like I think Vasu, right? For Devi Matmyam Pandra Mari, we can just sign up, right?
Yep.
And then
and yaar varalo varliyo, we will still have the class.
And we will have the class. In 5 sessions, we'll finish 100. I think we can definitely finish that 100 for sure.
The thing is, if anybody is missing, right, one of us at that spot will take the chapter and chant.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Exactly. So we'll just start from 1 and we can go all the way to 100. 5 sessions, we can finish it off.
Perfect. Great.
Okay.
Have a great time. Have a great
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you. Enough.
Bye, everyone.
Bless you.
You all
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.